What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to another Leafs Nation After Dark. I'm Zack Phillips, and tonight we're going to be breaking down game number 2 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, the second night of a back-to-back, and the Sheldon Keefe revenge game. The Toronto Maple Leafs head out to New Jersey to take on the 2-0 Devils and get a victory here tonight, handing Keefe his first loss of the season, giving Dennis Hildeby his first win in his first career NHL start here tonight as well. Bobby McMahon gets on the board. Craig Berube gets his first win as the Maple Leafs head coach, so we'll be breaking it all down as the Leafs move to 1-1 so far on the season. We'll answer questions from the chat. If people want to call in, feel free to send me a message. We'll try to get you guys a link so you guys can call into the show. And at some point here tonight, we will be joined by the man himself, Nick Alberga. He tweeted out, "I've got a lot of things to say, win or lose." I can't wait to hear them because some of them, I think we're going to be on the same page about. Some of them, I think we're going to have a lot of the same things to say in this one, so I don't want to get too many of them out of the way. But as we're here right now, and before Nick joins us, a couple of things. First of all, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button here on the channel. Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube. Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Nick, joined by Rosie for the most part, Carter Hutton, Anthony Stewart, bunch of other guys hopping through there. I'll be making appearances here and there. Helped out with Rosie earlier in the week to help tee up everything that was coming up. You'll get pregame shows with best bets like Max Domi to record a point plus 128, which cashes here tonight. First win of the season. We go to 1-1, but we are up money if you're tailing along with how the units go, as well as the Leafs Nation After Dark post-game shows, which, yeah, you lose game 1, you're going to get a lot more people in here wanting to talk about it than you're going to get when you win game 2 and everyone's hush-hush, keep it moving. So make sure to send your questions in the chat, subscribe here to the channel, like the stream if you haven't done so yet. And as well, just want to let people know, you can also find the show on podcasting platforms. Wherever you get your podcasts, Leafs Nation After Dark. The Leafs Nation After Dark is up on there. So make sure to give that a check out as well. Let's get to a quick super chat here that we had before we even got to the show tonight. Started off with Urban Droid. Urban Droid, appreciate the super chat. Urban Droid says, Berube's new look Leafs schooled Keefe's, quote, Stanley Cup favorite Devils. I love Marner on the PK. The whole unit is solid, and how about that fourth line? I think schooled is a interesting way to put it. I wouldn't necessarily say that they schooled them here tonight. I think it was a dominant effort from the Leafs in the first period, and then New Jersey found their way back into the game, and then after that, it felt a lot more even. There were also a lot of I don't want to say downs, but there were some moments here tonight where New Jersey was really able to take it to this Leafs team. I think getting that early lead, jumping out and starting on time for this Leafs team did help them a lot, something that we haven't really been able to say about these guys too much in the past, so that was also nice. Started on time last night too. That was a concern that we had about this team. Are you going to start on time? Did it last night. Do it here tonight. So couple good starts. Finally get a result. As for Love Marner on the PK, whole unit is solid. We'll get to special teams. I'll wait till we get Nick into here to discuss some of that. And in terms of the fourth line, that's a line that I did love. So appreciate the super chat. A lot of it I do agree with. Some of it we'll get to. But speaking of the man himself, I want to bring him here onto the show, and he is presented by Square. If you run a restaurant, you're too busy for this ad. You're thinking about how to get more orders flowing and new locations opening. You need to get more customers and keep them coming back. So really, you're already thinking about Square, because Square Restaurant Tech helps more than 400,000 restaurants do all those things and more. So when you're thinking about your restaurant, think bigger and think Square. Go to squareup.com/ca/campaign/big-in-RST to see why Square is big in restaurants. Make sure to head on over and check out Square there as well. Nick, welcome to the first Leafs Nation After Dark for the 2024-2025 season. How you feeling after tonight?
I'm feeling great. I'm telling you right now, Zach. I think we got to ban Rosie from this show because similar to last year, every time that guy came on, the Leafs lost. Every time I was scheduled to come on, they won. So we're on to something here, bud. How are you?
I'm good. I feel better just because there's a win, but like I think there's a lot we'll discuss. I don't want to be overly negative after a win on a back to back in a game that guy like Dennis Hildeby goes in there in his first NHL start and looks really good as well. But let's be realistic. There are some negatives here. I think some of it is just early season woes, but it's kind of just a weird situation. Don't want to get too high after a win here tonight. Didn't want to get too low after a loss last night. I think we kind of both got dragged into some of the negativity, Rosie and I at least. But yeah, I feel a lot better and maybe a little less stressed than I did last night.
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to pump all the cliches. Got the 2 points. It's all that matters. But certainly, I think that's my major takeaways. Hill to be making his NHL debut. I thought it was very ironic. It comes against Sheldon Keefe. Who knows internally what was going on last year? But if you recall, Hildeby was part of the team. They just were very reluctant to play him, almost to the point where I think Marty Jones was starting in a back-to-back. But he gets the opportunity. I thought he was really solid. I thought he made a couple of big-time stops in that game. I thought defensively, the Maple Leafs were actually pretty good. I think
Agreed.
discipline's a big thing we'll talk about over the next couple minutes here. And execution. I think the big story for me, the Maple Leafs score 4 goals from 3 different lines, and the top line didn't do much offensively. So I think a lot of pros and cons to grab there, Zach.
I'm gonna leave this up to you. I know we're gonna bounce through this and we'll go through it back and forth. But do you want to start with the negatives or do you want to start with the positives? Where how are you feeling right now?
Let's do positives. Let's do that
Okay,
first.
I'm gonna start with my first positive. Steven Lorentz. I want to give credit to the whole fourth line as a whole. I'm not going to try to take away from anything they did. Bobby McMahon, great tonight. I thought David Kampf really good tonight as well. Steven Lorentz has really stood out to me through the first two games. I said it a couple times in last night's show. I said it a couple times to Rosie, talking about it. Some of my buddies asking me, I'm like, he's not a guy who's going to jump out off the paper at you, but he's doing the little things. He's very energetic. He's very positive. He seems extremely happy to be here. He's doing these interviews, and like I know it's little things, and I'm kind of nitpicking at some of the stuff, but like, have you seen a player in Toronto go into these interviews during intermission, Nick, and be like this happy and excited to be talking to Mark Masters between periods?
Yeah, no, I haven't. That's a good point. But I think to your point about Lorenz, like nothing flashy about his game. And I think he just knows the brand and style that this organization is looking for. Like, I know we're just 2 games into this thing, but obviously there's a track record there from training camp. How did this guy go unsigned? I mean, he gets a PTO with the Maple Leafs. He's a local product from Kitchener, Ontario. And all of a sudden, I would argue he's been the most noticeable forward for the Maple Leafs for the first 2 games of the
Agreed.
season. I thought he was awesome in the opener against Montreal. And anytime you can get a goal, never mind a couple from your fourth line, it's got to be a bonus. Like this is a really, really cool story. Just a guy who knows his role and just a different value that he brings to this roster, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's a guy who played 8 minutes a night, or was like averaging around 8 minutes a night
Yeah.
in the Stanley Cup playoffs on a team that won. Like this is a trusted player by his coach, a guy who deserved the ice time, got the ice time. Craig Berube very quickly took a liking to him, was putting him out in some of the late game situations, putting him out in the penalty kill, and sitting here like that guy was on a PTO. He came into this on a PTO. Like how did that slip through the cracks from other teams? Good pickup by the Leafs. Good pickup by Tree Living and addressing an issue there. I think that was great. I think he looked really good. I mean, I watched that goal. I'm like, oh my God, what a shot. Watch on the replay a little bit. It gets a little bit lucky, but nonetheless, it's like, it's a good fourth line goal. You generated an opportunity. You held the puck in the offensive zone. You get the puck to the front, bounces out into the slot. You're there to capitalize. Like, what else could you ask for from your fourth line right now?
Not much. That's the way you score goals in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I
Right.
can't state that enough. You go back and watch that Lorenz goal, like just the tenacity, the forecheck, the pace, the style, the brand, like just north south hockey. There's nothing pretty about the player. He just works his ass off, knows where to be, and gets rewarded as such. But that was my major takeaway watching that goal. I know it was a nice little flipper, like backhand shelf on Markstrom, but it's like
I
more so
know.
like the prototypical playoff goal as opposed to like the dipsy do type shit we're seeing from the top line right now, man. Just some of those guys, they're back in Muskoka still.
Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. Let's get to another positive. Let's just go to Dennis Hildeby.
Yeah.
Makes his debut here, his NHL debut, as you mentioned off the top, was up with this Leafs team and Sheldon Keefe. Again, you can't really just pin this on Keefe. There's other people who are going into that decision, I'm sure. But regardless, he's the face of it, and it's Hildeby is not going in under Keefe's regime. He's on the bench, and you brought it up. I think it was like Jones was not only playing back to backs, I think there was a stretch there where he played like 5 or 6 consecutive games and Hildeby just sat on the bench. And he's got to be sitting there thinking, I could go in this net. I'm playing really well in the minors and I'm not getting a chance. Comes up preseason, plays really well in the preseason. They give him a go game 2 of the year. 22 saves on 24 shots, a 917 save percentage, a great night from him. And it's not just the numbers, right, Nick? It's how he looked, how he was poised behind the team. You hear them talking about the entire broadcast, how he is off the ice, the demeanor that he brings, the way he moves, the way he acts, the way he responds to things that happen positively or negatively. This is a young guy in the net, and he seemed to handle his debut here perfectly, like basically perfectly. One goal he's probably going to want back, and that's about it.
13 feet in goaltending the Leafs have right
Yeah.
now, obviously, with Anthony Stolarz and Dennis Hildeby. The thing that really stood out for me, though, Zach, was like the timeliness of the saves. I was in
Yep.
attendance last year. I think it was like Trent Frederick in the playoffs. A shot that had no business beating Ilya Samsonov. And all
Low
I could think
blocker
about,
posting
man,
in.
yeah, like just need a save, and that was sort of my takeaway as well from Hildeby's performance. Not overly tested. I thought the Leafs did a really good job of keeping the Devils to the perimeter, similar to what Montreal did to Toronto on Wednesday night. And the shot volume wasn't there either, but I thought the timeliness of the saves was integral, where it really felt like things were getting a bit hairy. We'll get to it. I hated the D zone coverage by Mitch Marner, or lack thereof, on the 4-2 goal late in the second period. That's a backbreaker. But they found a way to get the job done, obviously, and solidify things in the third period. But if it weren't for like Dennis Hildeby and the couple saves he made in the second and third, maybe it's a different game. So that's what really stood out for me, is like a timeliness, because sometimes you just need that save, whether it's a rob, which we saw in the first period or the third period, or just making that prototypical pad save. You need those saves, and they go a long way in a victory. And I thought that really stood out for me when it came to Hildeby.
I'm taking a look here at people in the chat. A lot of people very high on Lawrence. A lot of people very high on Hildeby. And this first game, the only thing I would caution people, it's like, yeah, I respect any night of the week you want to have a couple drinks, but if you're in the chat commenting that Steven Lawrence plays like Pierre Engvall, it might be time to mix in a water there. So that's the only one at this time. Nick, I wanted to keep pushing it back and maybe dig into some more positives, but it's now twice that you've alluded to it. Let's get to some of the negatives. I sent you a screenshot towards the end of the game. I said, you
Yeah.
notice anything here? The Leafs win this one 4-2. There's one player on the Leafs roster tonight who was a minus. Why don't we all take a guess at who that player was?
Yeah, he hasn't looked great.
No.
I know he had 6 shots on goal in the opener. He just looks really, really tentative. And I'm not just gonna pick apart Marner. I thought Nylander was really perimeter again.
Agreed.
Like, I hated that penalty he took late in the game, and I wonder if Craig Berube probably feels the same way. Just a lack of discipline. It's 4-2. You got to bear down and solidify that win. But on Marner, just a lot of perimeter stuff. I thought he was really good in the PK, but they're not really manufacturing much. And to me, it's very reminiscent of Mitch Marner in the playoffs, where very to the outside, to the perimeter, and you're not really noticing him as much. Like I truly have felt like the first couple games have been more physical than we've been accustomed to seeing. And maybe that's why, maybe it's because the Leafs are engaging contact a bit more in the first couple games than they prototypically would in the last couple seasons. But I haven't really noticed Mitch Marner just hasn't had a feel with the puck just yet. And I think
Yeah.
he's forcing the play. Like, I mean, you could speak more of this. You played a higher level of hockey than me. Just forcing the play way too much, where it's like on that wraparound, just try to wrap it around. If you have a shot on goal, why are you trying to pass it into the corner? Again, they're trying to pass the puck into the net. Very evident on a struggling power play, but also very evident at 5-on-5. We always say it, man, just simplify your game. It just feels right now like Mitch Marner's trying to do too much out there.
Yeah, it was that play, and it's also a buildup off of last night too, right? There was the play I forgot to talk about it. Rosie and I kind of got tied up and lost in some other stuff that we ended up discussing from last night's game. I heard you guys talk about it this morning, thank God. But the play with Marner on the wraparound, there's no guarantee he scores that one, but watching it in real time, as easy as it is from my couch to sit here and say, is like that was an empty net. He had an opportunity. Now, I'm not going to dwell on what happened last night, but then here it is again tonight. How many times do we talk about overpassing, like shoot the puck? Let's be simple. And the other thing I kind of have like now just being so ingrained of like I am right or this is the right idea of some of this stuff. You watch the Amazon documentary, you hear Paul Maurice in that quote when he came into the locker room in the Stanley Cup Finals, and he said, "Stop making plays." Obviously, hyperbole, like you need to make plays. That's how hockey works. But it's like, let's not overthink this. Keep it simple, play hockey, just do the right things, do the little things here. That's kind of where it's got to be, and these guys just love doing that extra play, the extra pass, that it's got to be perfect. Fuck being perfect, dude. Like, fuck that. Just get pucks on net. Find ways to do it the gritty way, the hard way sometimes. It cannot be these perfect little highlight reel plays at all times. And I think that's where the frustration was. Where with that play, it stands out because it's a give and go down to Matthews. He's wide open. He's got a great opportunity for a shot. No guarantee it goes in. No one's saying that's a guaranteed goal, but it's a better chance of shooting it than firing it into the corner to nobody.
Well, I guess that's the hope too with Craig Berube is over time he'll instill sort of that mindset because you're so right. Like just the that type of stuff, I don't think is going to fly under this coaching staff, specifically Craig Berube, who just wants to play like a north south type brand, and you want to play the style that you think is going to bring you success not only in the regular season but also the Stanley Cup playoffs. We just talked about Steven Lorentz. I just think more times than not, the way Marner has been playing, the way Matthews and Nylander and all the big boys, quite frankly, in the first couple games, that's not going to bring you success in the playoffs. These guys are so skilled. Yeah, they're going to get a couple cookies. They're going to get theirs. They're going to get their points in the regular season. But when there's no ice out there, it's just not going to be handed to you. It's not going to be easy. And I think if you set a precedent, Zach, in the regular season, that's the way you want to play, I think it translates over to the playoffs. And the only hope for me is that over an 82-game slate, they can buy into the brand that the coaching staff is selling. Because to me, early on, just the perimeter game and just trying to be too fine with the puck, I honestly feel like Marner's squeezing his stick a bit much. I know he comes out on a daily basis, makes it a point to tell us he doesn't listen to the media, doesn't watch what's going on, doesn't know he's in a contract here. It's all bullshit. Like, I'm not here to rag on Mitch Marner on a daily basis. I think he's an exceptional hockey player, but the pressure is clearly getting to the guy where you start to wonder, can he handle this market? Because quite frankly, you want to get paid all this money. He is playing nowhere close to that right now. And the same went for last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs and previous playoffs before that. But again, the good news, the track record's there. We know what this guy can do. We know he's going to get going at some point in time with him. The same will be said for Austin Matthews and William Nylander. But right now, I think it's encouraging through 2 games. Yeah, they lost 1-0. But the fact that the third and fourth line, the depth guys have really stepped up, I'll grab a positive from that.
Yeah, that is a massive positive here for the team throughout the first couple of games. I would 100% agree. Like, seeing those guys, how many times have we heard, the depth doesn't participate. If it's not the big boys, then who is it?
Yeah.
There you go. There's a 4-2 win, and you got the fourth goal from Tavares there, the third line. And other than that, it's the bottom lines that were driving things. It was them who was creating a lot of plays. It was them who was creating the offense, who was maintaining pressure. Like, I don't think that the first and the second line were a detriment to the team here tonight. It wasn't like I was watching them get their teeth kicked in every time they were out on the ice. But that being said, those are the guys that are making $11-12 million. They're supposed to be creating offense and scoring goals. So if it's not there, it's always going to be a knock. Another thing people in the chat are saying, oh, you're ripping on Marner, not talking about Nylander. Nick kind of touched on it there, but it's the same for Nylander right now. But let's just be very, very realistic with the situation, is that the spotlight is significantly brighter on Mitch right now. It's a contract year. We know that there is going to be negotiations going on. We've already heard things kicking up out of the rumor mill, whether they're true or not. I'm not here to say, but it's, could he be making this much money? Does he deserve as much as Matthews? Should he get more because okay, these things are going to start to come up. And on top of that, he's the guy that we look at each year for the past couple of years as having disappeared at that point. So it's just going to naturally be brighter on him right now. I'm not giving Willie a pass at all. I'm not. He's not been good through the first two. But just kind of wanted to point that out. This is not just a sheer Rip Marner fest. There's other guys involved in this as well. Nick, another negative here. I have to address it because this is now back to back. This power play stinks. Stinks. Like I felt bad. I should have deleted it. I put out a tweet, and as soon as I put out the tweet underneath it was you saying the Leafs should decline the power play. Yeah. My tweet was, can Berube decline the power play? Like, I'm at that point. It is a waste of 2 minutes for the Maple Leafs. It kills momentum. More often than not, it's actually giving the other team momentum. Don't take the power play. Like, just get over with it. Get it on with. I would rather see them just continue to play 5-on-5 hockey because it is killing this team right now. And it makes me sick to watch. Just perimeter play. Can't get in the zone. Scrap the power play. Get rid of it.
I purposely tweeted just because I know my old co-host on Sportsnet 590 The Fan doing the Leafs games, Gord Stellick, used to hate it when I'd say decline the power plays. And the bigger story here is that how many dudes have had a chance to run this fucking power play? And it's the same shit year after year after year, whether it's Manny Malhotra, Guy Boucher, Mark Savard, from my understanding, has got face-off plays. It's the same guys. Like, and I said this on today's edition of Leafs Morning Take. Go check it out. And I don't know if you agree. Like, if the plan is to evenly distribute minutes between the two power play units, does it make any sense in your world to stack the first power play unit? Like, at this point, I think we've seen enough from that PP unit. If you have to go back to that well in game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs, go for it. If you're really, really struggling, go for it. But I think this is a perfect time, Zach, to tinker with different, arrangements, different looks, different combinations. I think PP2 is missing a center. Max Domi, good player. I'd put John Tavares in that role. I'd flip-flop Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Morgan Riley. Like, I don't understand this necessity, this dedication to those 5 same guys. We've seen it year after year after year. Yeah, they're going to get their points. They're that damn good. They're so skilled. But I just want to see some different looks here, man.
Yeah, we do have a super chat here as well, kind of leaning into this. So I just want to get to that and address some of the ones that have come in. Jeff McKay here, he says, better game, still want them to switch up the power play. It's like what Nick just said. But yeah, what is the fascination with this? Like, this is a big, you want to go big scale on some of this stuff? Something that just continuously doesn't work over and over and over and over again, and you fail to have success with when it matters the most, but you want to keep going back to it, and you won't give up on it, and you're committed to the group. It's like the big picture of all of it, and then it's this funnel right down, and it's like, well, there you go. It's like all the way through the lineup, we just see that kind of being reflected. I know I'm being an ass about it, but like, why? What's the commitment? Yeah. Like, why? Yeah. What did you make a promise to these guys that they have to play together? They're grown men. They make a lot of fucking money. Deal with it. Like, play better. Or if you want to stay together, play better. You want to be together every single year and you don't want guys being traded. You want guys signing back here. You want to keep the group together, win in the playoffs. You want to keep your power play together, score goals. Like, this is another pathetic performance from the power play. And it's also, the frustration comes from myself, and I don't want to speak for you, Nick, but I think you as well, is not the results on the power play. Yeah, that sucks. Like, not scoring on the power play sucks. It's watching how pathetic the power play is. It's stale. It's predictable. Everyone's standing around in the same spots. There's no urgency. There's no purpose. And it's like, 2 games through this season, we're seeing it. Playoffs, we saw it. The last 2 months of last season, we saw it. It's the same shit over and over. Change it up. Give someone a wake-up call. Take Nylander, Marner, I don't care, off the power play. Give them some type of spark and say, figure your shit out or you don't go out there.
It seems way too simple, and I know people in this chat hate when I bring up beer leagues, but you've played beer league as well. You know, when you get like a peeper in beer league, it's like you sort of like settle and you're like, hey, we're just gonna let the puck come to us and we're gonna throw it around and we're gonna score a goal. Like it's like this whole hum country club type feel, but this is the National League. And these guys are so skilled. Yes, they still get their goals, and yes, they'll find a way to get the power play cooking here. But I think you're so right. And there's so many varieties of combinations you can go with this. Like I know I had some pushback on social media when I suggested having, spreading the wealth between these two units. Okay, maybe you play a guy like Austin Matthews since he scored 69 goals last year. He's the best goal scorer on the planet. Maybe you play him a minute 45 of the 2 minutes, or you play him the entire 2 minutes. There's different looks you can give the other team. To your point, they become so predictable. Okay, they stopped doing the drop pass, but now it's like this contrived, slow-moving play up the middle. The entire arena knows where the puck is going. The same two guys. Like it really is a definition of insanity. And it's like, I know people are probably laughing and it's game 2 and yeah, these guys are going to get cooking. But if we see it now, I'm telling you, we're going to see it in the springtime again.
Yeah, I mean, just for the record, my beer league power play is disgusting, but
you guys snap it around,
yeah, we zip it around. Success rate through the roof. No, I mean, you're right, though. It's like, it's the break-in. It's the same thing for 8 years now. I don't know if it's like Savard came in and he's like, let's change this up. And they're like, no, we want to keep it the way we've done it before. We know this way. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's the same thing. They get stopped the same way. Like, it just makes no sense.
What can you possibly do to a power play? You are 5 against 4. Like what out of brain ideologies could Mark Savard bring to the table that Guy Boucher couldn't, that Manny Malhotra couldn't, that everybody else who tried to give a go to these 5 guys on the ice? Like at some point, maybe just tap out like it's a UFC and be like, you know what? Maybe we put Oliver Ekman-Larsson running that power play. If you recall last year, John Klingberg, before he decided he couldn't play hockey anymore, was running PP1. I think it's quite clear there's no threat of a shot. Like Morgan Rielly is a playmaker. They need a shot in the back end. And I'm telling you right now, the more and more I watch Oliver Ekman-Larsson, it's 2 games. This guy's the number 1 defenseman on this team, man. He's playing that way.
I was going to talk about him as well at some point in the show. He looks good to me right now. I don't want to put all the pressure on him because like I think he's also looking really good because he's not the number 1 defenseman for like a continuation of this point in his career. He did that in Florida. It wasn't number 1. Looked really good there. He's not the number 1 here. I'm really impressed with him here as well. Like all that stuff building. But yeah, change it up. Change it up. Why can't a guy like Matthew Nyes go and stand in front of the net? Why can't Pacioretty get a look down at the side of the net on the first unit? Why can't Oliver Ekman-Larsson go in there? I'm not talking about making the second unit the first unit, but change things up, as you mentioned. The other point would just be like, at what point do you maybe just say Matthews plays the whole minute 45, 2 minutes, and the other 4 guys change? Like,
exactly.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Penguins did that for an extended period of time with Sid, where it's just like, dude, you're the best player on this team. There's no point. I think, the Capitals as well. Like, why would I take you off the ice? The other guys go out there, filter through, get some fresh legs. If you ever get caught at any point, the other guys are out there because they've got legs. You get off, you wait 30 seconds, 45 seconds, then you go back out. Like, yeah, he's the best goal scorer on the team. I think he's the best goal scorer in the NHL. Leave him out there, but change the other guys through, give different units. That needs to change. Anything else on your mind here today, Nick, that you want to get off your chest? I know you guys got another show tomorrow, so like what I did with Rosie, I don't want to steal all your content for the post-game show, but anything else bothering you right now?
Oh, don't worry. We never shut up. Discipline, I think, was another big story for me. I know the officiating so ticky-tack early in the season. Soft. It's like they got to prove a point, puff out their chest. We're here to stay. It's going to be a long season. But some of these calls are utter bullshit. The Leafs are they're not drawing penalties again. That's something I've noticed early on in the season. I think the PK deserves a lot of credit. I know they allow another power play goal, but I think for the most part, some crucial kills. Some big time blocks, very gutsy play from everybody involved. Pontus Holmberg, Lorentz, obviously Matthews and Marner, Tanev on the back end. But they have to clean things up. I'm sure Berube will talk about in the post game remarks again, where you just can't be taking these penalties. Like if you think it's close to being a penalty with your stick or whatever you're doing, then just shy away. But I just have a like even the Benoit call was a joke to me. Okay, like these refs by now have to know that whenever there's a clean hit or a dirty hit, somebody's going to step up to the plate. Let them have it. Like everybody knows the rap on the Maple Leafs over the last 10 years. They don't put up or they don't show up for their teammates. I love the response. I had no problem with the penalty with Benoit. I'm still trying to
Yeah.
figure out all these years covering hockey. What the hell's roughing mean? Like it's the NHL, it's an oxymoron. Like roughing is hockey. Like it was a stupid call to me, but that's going to happen during the course of a game. I thought it was only fitting that they showed that video from a couple years back where the Devils fans were throwing shit on the ice. Remember that?
Yeah, I forgot about that game until that came up tonight, and I'm like, wow, man. I remember people were losing their minds over that. Obviously, it's dangerous. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
downplay how much that is. Like, oh, you could have killed somebody out there. It's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
let's.
A beer can's going to murder somebody now. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that game. What a time that was. Yeah, the reffing though, man. I've long been critical of the reffing in the NHL. I think that we saw like this shift where it was like, yeah, we're gonna show you like this is how it's done. I'm not saying they're trying to like take power over the players, but it's just like nothing goes like this is the way it's gonna be, and it just goes too far. And it's like realistically, what's gonna happen by the time we get to March, April?
Nothing.
You're putting
Yeah.
that whistle away. Like that thing's not happening. You just let the kids play. I guess maybe they're trying to start it now so then they can get to that point later on. Otherwise, maybe they put the whistles away now and it just gets out of control by then. Who knows? But yeah, a little aggressive with some of the calls. It's a lot of penalties. A lot of penalties have to kill, but the penalty kill did look very, very good here tonight again. 4 for 5. I think that they move around real well. The one goal that gets scored, they just kind of collapse a little bit too much and get caught. And it happens. You go on the penalty kill 5 times, you're bound to have one of those here and there. Still pretty good night from them. I don't think I had anything else that was really like sticking out to me too much. The only thing I just kind of wanted to ask was someone made a comment here, and it's more of a big picture thing for you, Nick, and I want to know where you're at with this. Is like, oh, you're a Leaf fan when you're complaining after a win. The thing for me this year that's going to be very different, and I apologize to people kind of, but not really, if you're going to be getting upset with some of the analysis after these games, is not whether they won or lost. It's what went on during the win or the loss. Like, how was the team performing? Through 2 nights here, I've got no complaints about effort. I'm not worried with how they showed up, the energy, anything like that. But it's going to be these things that you and I talked about here tonight. What did the first line do to generate opportunities? How was the power play looking? How did the penalty kill look? Because those are things that plagued us in the playoffs in years past. That's more what I care about. So, yeah, there's going to be times where the team loses, and I'm going to come on here and be happy because they played really well. There's going to be times when they win, and I'm going to come on here and say that sucked. Because, yeah, you won and you got 2 points, so you should be thankful for that. But I'm not going through the course of this 82-game season being like, living with every win, getting all fired up. This is big picture, man. This is, are you learning to play the game the right way for me? And it might be a long season living that way, but that's kind of how I'm viewing this year.
It's about the process for me too. The long run, the big picture. I want to see these new systems, how they're instilled. I think certainly there's going to be some growing pains, certainly in the way that Craig Berube wants his team to play, whether it's Austin Matthews, whether it's Steven Lorentz, or anybody in between, whether it's the blue line, the PK, the power play. And I just want to see growth. Like, I know that's a buzzword in hockey, but
Yeah.
I think through the course of an
Learn
82 game
lessons.
slate, I want to see growth. And I know Rosie always laughs, but I really could not care less about this regular season on skill level alone, barring something crazy and unforeseen. This Maple Leafs team will be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I want to know if they've learned from their previous mistakes and if they've adapted and evolved. and are interested in playing the style and brand that's going to bring them success in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, ultimately, it's like an 82-game trial run, and we'll see game 50, game 75, game 82, how much different they look. Because, again, early on, it's so hard to make an assessment. They get the 2 points, pardon the cliche, and you move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the season or in the home opener coming up on Saturday. But I'm with you. It's all about growth and a process here.
What a gauntlet we've got here, eh? Habs night 1, Sheldon Keefe revenge game on the back-to-back nonetheless, night 2, and then Mr. Dubas comes to town Saturday night for the home opener. The NHL, they know what they're doing when it comes to writing these storylines. Nick, I appreciate you hopping on here, helping us break down this game tonight. Instant reaction. You'll be back tomorrow morning. Rosie on tomorrow again too, or someone else?
Rosie's back in the mix,
Wow.
and we have Leafs anthem singer Natalie Morris. She's going to drop by the show. We're gonna tee things up. The home opener coming up on Saturday night, and here's hoping the same thing happens as last year. If you recall, Kyle Dubas's Pens came into town, and the Maple Leafs spanked their asses a bit. So.
Correct. Well, thank you, Nick, for doing this. I appreciate it as always. Good luck with the show tomorrow. Enjoy. And I look forward to seeing how fired up Rosie gets about the fact that he didn't get to come on here after a win.
Yeah, I honestly, again, looking back at last night, I just thought it was hilarious. He blew his load so early. Today, at least morning take, I'm like, dude, we got 81 more games. There's going to be efforts you don't like again. Just take a chill pill. But that's why we love Jay Rosal, I guess.
Correct. And you know what's even real good? Last year, one of his early introductions to me, he came on and I was like, when he got on, I was fired up. I'm like going nuts about something. He gets in, he's like, pump the brakes. Like, it's all good. We don't need to worry. It was like, now all of a sudden, game 1, he's just firing out the game. Like, there you go.
I've conditioned them though. That this is my fault, because day 1 of doing this show 2 years ago, Rosie's like, man, like, what's your gripe with this team? Like, I'm like, bro, I've been covering this team, and he hates it when I say that, but I've been covering this team for 8 to 10 years now, and I've been a Leaf fan my whole life. I just know, I know this type of stuff happens, and I telegraphed everything and pinpointed throughout the season what was going to happen, and now 2 years in, he's right there with us, man.
It just eats away at you, man. And we're still optimistic, but it eats away. It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. You covered the team, you're around it this much. It's
the best omen I could tell you right now. I hate to pat my own back, but I called it. Max Pacioretty scores the first goal of the Maple Leaf season. What number does he wear? 67. The curse is lifted, baby. It's our year, baby.
It's our year. That's a good positive to take away. Max Pacioretty first goal. Former Habs captain opens it up for the Leafs this season. Nick, thank you for doing this. As always, I appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe here to the channel. Nick back here tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. for Leafs Morning Take. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
No worries. Take care, bud.
There you go. Nick Alberga from Leafs Morning Take right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube channel, helping us break down this game here tonight. We still got a bunch more things to go through. I want to talk a little bit about Matthews. I want to talk about the JT goal. We got to talk about the bet, our play of the game, our grades of the game. We got to talk about the Nyes steamroll. If anybody else in the chat wants to call in to the show and give your thoughts on the game tonight, DM me on Twitter. I'll send you guys a link so you guys can get in here and give your thoughts. I want to hear from you. Also got to read out a couple more super chats. And one of the more important things as well, we did hit 50 likes on the stream. I appreciate everyone who's viewing right now, but 50 likes means the smelling salts. You left it because Nick was on here right now during that. So let's get to this. Smelling salts, 50 likes. Thank you guys. We got some new ones on the way. They'll probably be ready to go for Saturday night. Thank you all to everyone who hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. There you go. There you go. Smelling salts, game 2, victory against Sheldon Keefe 2. Feels pretty nice. Feels pretty nice. Let's get to Matthew Nyes. I talked about it last night. And Gord, yes, Saturday we will be taking calls as well. I don't have a guest booked. If Rosie or Nick want to come in here and talk about things and they want to rant and they want to go on about positives, negatives, whatever, the door is always open to them every single time. So they could potentially pop through, surprise guests. But you guys in the chat, you're the ones that I want to hear from on Saturday. I want to know how you're feeling about the Leafs team, how you're feeling through 3 games, all that kind of stuff. As for tonight's game, Matthew Nyes. Last night, I talked about it. I talked about Matthew Nyes, and I was saying how I thought he looked good. The first line did not impress me. Marner, Matthews, it felt like they just weren't there. They weren't all the way into this one. They weren't making an impact in the game last night, but a guy like Matthew Nyes, to me, last night, did impress. Physical play, not afraid of anything. Berube was loving the guy, giving him opportunities late in the game. And someone said, he gets pushed off the puck. He's losing battles. I never saw that. I think we might have potentially been watching different games, or you were watching a guy with a different name and number on his jersey, because I don't think that was the case at all with Matthew Nyes last night, and he carries it over to tonight and continues to build off of it. Matthew Nyes came into this one, and he was a presence to be felt. He was the only guy on that line that really stood out to me here tonight. I mean, I look at the box score from this one. He's not going to have anything that jumps out at you and says, oh my God, what a night for the kid. But 3 shots on goal. He's got a hit. He played 15 minutes and 44 seconds of ice time. Matthews, 0 shots on goal as per the ESPN box score. 21 minutes in ice time. Mitch Marner, -1, 0 shots on goal, or 1 shot on goal, as per the ESPN box score. 21 minutes of ice time. That's no good from that line. Matthew Nyes is the guy who's getting all the shots on goal on the line with a guy who scored 69 goals last year, a guy who expects to get a massive contract at the end of the season and be a 100-point player in this league. And this rookie, I guess he played a full season last year. So this young kid is the guy who's leading you, who's leading the charge and saying, get on my back. This is the way we're going to play. And guess what? He's playing the right way. He is currently playing the right way. He's doing the little things. He's blocking shots. He's playing well in the defensive end. He's real physical and a force to be reckoned with when it gets down into the offensive zone, specifically on the boards and below the goal line. That guy is hard to stop, and he's the type of guy that we have been dying for to be a part of this unit, to be a part of your top 6, and to be a guy who's around this group and to make that kind of impact, who can do the things that Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares don't. If the other 2 guys, 34 and 16, could wake the hell up right now, that line would be so much more productive because of the things he's doing for them. Berube is loving what Nyes is bringing, and he should be. He has been so effective in his own role. He is playing his role and not doing anything outside of it. And as John Gallagher said, and he's running people over. Excellent point as well. That hit that he had on Dougie Hamilton as Dougie Hamilton goes to pinch into the zone on the Leafs penalty kill, and he steamrolls him, goes out into the neutral zone, continues to battle for the puck, ends up with a one-on-one with the defenseman and gets a shot off. Kudos to him, man. You're a young kid saying, we need to figure this out. We need to play this way. Berube wants us to play this way. Guess what? I'm going to play this way. He's playing the right way on that top 6 right now, and he's been one of the most effective, impactful players that the Leafs have had playing in that top group through the first 2 games. Kudos to Matthew Nyes. The bottom 6 looks great. The top 6, truthfully, has looked like complete shit. Just relative to expectation, I should say. But Matthew Nyes has looked very good, and I want to give him the flowers that he deserves because we talked about him last year. Rosie talked about him. Nick's talked about him, how much we love this kid, how good he's looked, how much he's taking on some type of leadership role as this young guy injected into this locker room. And he's just building on it, becoming more mature, and becoming a more complete all-around player who's actually looking like he can take over games and make a serious impact every single time he goes on the ice. Kudos to the kid. What a weapon out there. 9 more likes until we get to 100 on the stream. Also, let me know how the lighting on the stream looks tonight. I got new lights. I thought they looked good. I feel like I potentially look a little too bright and potentially yellow. Let me know in the chat. We do have a couple super chats here. I don't want to let these go by. Any super chats that get sent, I do want to get to them. So let's start with this. Francesco Ravenda. Francesco was the one who made the comments about Lorenz and Engvall. I was just kidding, Francesco. But Francesco says, appreciate the super chat. He says, question. I should have read this before. This is Francesco, not me. Francesco, question, did Marner love them Diddy parties? I mean, kudos. You made me laugh. Good one. Another super chat here. Rick Robitaille did not send anything with it. Regardless, appreciate the super chat. Rick, if you've got a question, I'll see if you got anything here. There's nothing. I don't see any questions. Screw game one effect. Fair enough. There you go. There's some other stuff. I'll just read some of the other comments he had. 69 goals, deserves to go deep into the playoffs, absolutely, and further. Yes, they should go. They should go further. Brimmer, looks like you're scared of the sun. Looks like you're scared of the sun. Yeah. I'm going to be eating sunscreen to come on these streams. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, I kind of touched on it a little bit in the Nyes rant that I just had there, so I'm not going to go like too deep into it, but Matthews has not looked very good, or not very dominant like we would expect or want him to be through the first couple of games. I don't think that this is a matter of like the pressure getting to him or anything. I'm even surprised because in the preseason, I thought that he looked healthy. I thought that he looked ready to go to start this season. I didn't think any pressure was getting to him, handling media well, handling the switch off well, the questions about him and Tavares, like he handled it all very, very well, answered things the way you'd want him to, you'd expect the captain to. He played pretty well there in the preseason, was able to score goals. Like it didn't feel like any of this was going to be a delayed release on when he was going to come in and be a dominant force. And through the first two games, it's not felt like he's being very dangerous. Last night he gets 6 shots on goal. I know Marner did as well, but if you were to kind of tell me a single moment from last night or try to point out a single moment from last night of those guys or anything either of those guys did, there's not really anything that I could pick out. It was the last shot attempt by Matthews where he gets it down low from Tavares. Tavares passed to him at the side of the net. There's a couple seconds left. He gets the one-timer, tries, and that's the best chance that it felt like he had all night. There was a couple posts that were hit. There was a couple crossbars that were hit. But even on those, it was like, yeah, it was a good shot that beat the goalie and hit the post. That was kind of it. And outside of that, it never felt like he was generating too much. I know that that's going to sound a little bit contradictory with guy hitting posts and crossbars, but it was just like he didn't feel like when he was out on the ice, he was just a constant threat, which is what you'd expect from a guy who makes $12 million and scored 69 goals last season. It's got to be called out for what it is. Has not been a great start to the season for him. Nothing else I want to touch on with Marner there because Nick said a lot of it. I jumped in on a bunch of it there as well. Hildeby, great. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, really good to me in the first couple of games. Morgan Rielly, I don't think that he should be running this power play anymore. I think that the leash should be very short because guess what? Through 2 games, the power play has absolutely stunk. It has fallen short. It has looked stale. It has looked boring. It has not lived up to expectations with what you'd hope would be happening when you have guys like Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares out there all together on the ice. 13 million. Sorry, I knew 13 million. I said 12. 13 million. My bad. But when you have all those guys out there together, you're expecting fireworks. You get Mark Savard to come in here to this group, and you're expecting him to be able to push them over the top and get things done and be this super productive group. But as Nick said, how many times can you reinvent the wheel? Or how many ways can you reinvent the wheel? Because at some point, it just comes down to the guys on the ice having some level of desperation and urgency and understanding we got to score and we got to score now. The one thing that I just appreciate out of the second group, obviously they're not as good, obviously they're not as skilled, but when they go out onto the ice, they are moving quickly and trying to make things happen. It feels like the Leafs are first unit is waiting for the perfect play to happen. They're pass around. If they even can get set up, by the way, because that's the first struggle is getting in the zone. But once they do, it's pass, turnover, back out, 45 seconds to get back in the zone. It's a waste of time. It's frustrating to watch. It kills momentum, and it shifts it actually in the direction of the other team for being able to kill that and generate chances of their own while they're shorthanded. It's just been a weird time with this power play over the last while, because when you look at guys like that and those names being put out there together, it's like, what are we doing? How can you have all that talent and just be this stale, this boring to watch? We got 100 likes here on the stream. If we get to 150, we'll do it again. But 270 people watching. Thank you to everyone. You guys are also sickos. Like, the Leafs lose, fired up to get in here and go crazy about it. The Leafs win, a little bit dialed down, a little bit more relaxed. But regardless, I appreciate the support. 100 likes. Let's get the smelling salts. There you go. That's all. Super chat here. And this is actually perfect because this is where I was going to go to with the next point, but super chat. Super chat from Dan Freeman. Dan, always here in the chat, friend of the show. We appreciate it. Dan says, got here late. Tonight felt like what I expected yesterday. Much better showing. The fourth line looks legit. Also starting to like that third line. If only we could get the top six going, eh? And Tanev, ... RJWI also, Zach, that was a soft reaction. Yes, I am getting new salts. They are coming. As for the super chat from Dan, got here late, felt like what I expected yesterday. Yeah, I thought that they were going to be buzzing a little bit more yesterday. As per what we're saying for the fourth line, liked them yesterday, liked them today. I don't know if it's just Berube just saying, hey, we're going to switch things up and give it a different look. And it's not really because Ryan Reeves didn't deserve to be in the lineup tonight, but maybe it's just because he's an older guy. And let's see what McMahon can do if he's a little bit hungry and pissed off. He didn't have a great camp. He didn't really earn a spot out of camp. So he doesn't get the tap on opening night. Ryan Reeves does. Now you flip things around and you say, Bobby McMahon, get in there. Fourth line has a really good night. Bobby McMahon has a really good night. Scores a goal here tonight too. And it's a play from just good fourth line hockey. You're doing simple things. You're getting the puck in deep. You're being responsible with the puck. You're taking care of the puck and not just slashing it away and giving it back to the other team and letting them come down and just having to defend the entire time. You're getting in and actually maintaining pressure at the other end. Good for the fourth line. Good for Steven Lorentz to score. Good for Bobby McMahon to score. Kudos to those guys. The third line, much better tonight as well. I have some reservations. I want to see this continue. I want to see it last for a longer period of time. I want to see Pontus Holmberg play a little bit better. I still feel like there's a little bit to be desired with Pontus Holmberg. I felt like he's kind of just left me hanging a little bit, but I do feel like he's been good for that line, and I think that they played a whole lot better tonight. Good for Nick Robertson to play the way he did. Helps generate that goal on the for Pacioretty to open the scoring tonight. Drive the net, create some chaos, gets the puck behind the back of the net, passes out front, shot comes through, rebound, Pacioretty, goal. Like, these things happen when you play the right way and do simple things. Nick Robertson bought into that here tonight. You get rewarded with it. Pacioretty on the board. If only the top six could get going, Don't have too much to add to that. We talked about it a lot. Appreciate the super chat still, Dan. Final point, Tanev. This is the last guy that I wanted to get to before we get to some of our closing and wrap-up segments. Tanev. Really, really, really enjoy watching him play. Simple hockey. Don't notice him too much. Good at getting the puck and moving it up ice. Making it the right play. Not overthinking things. He is barely noticeable. And I know there's going to be people who come to these and complain, you're paying Tanev and we don't notice him out there. Oh, you're paying this guy, he's a big signing, we don't notice him. Chris Tanev played 21 minutes and 51 seconds tonight. He was +1. He played 6 minutes and 22 seconds on the penalty kill. This is back-to-back nights. I'm talking about Chris Tanev, and I didn't notice him. 3 blocked shots. He just plays the right way. He just plays this simple brand of hockey that eats 51, so almost 22 minutes of ice time. And those aren't empty calorie 22 minutes. That's playing against the best lines on the other team. That's playing against the best players on the other team. That's playing late minute situations. That's playing with the other team's net empty. Like, those are playing important spots. It's playing penalty kill. And he is just looking calm, quiet, collected. Like, he looks so good back there right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to jinx it. So knock on wood. I'm sorry, Tanev, if I said something stupid here that I shouldn't have. He has been very impressive through the first couple of games. And I could not be happier with that signing and just the way that he is kind of produced for this group and how effective that he's been in the preseason and into the game here tonight. There's just no real negatives with him, man. Like, there's just no real negatives. It's get the puck, get it up the ice, get it out of the zone. Let's not overthink it. No need to overhandle it. Finish checks. Clear the front of the net. Money. That's what you want from a guy who's playing that. Blake Brim, really refreshing watching him make simple plays. No forcing passes or trying to do too much. Exactly. I can't even add anything to that because it's just like, and RJWI bringing up as well. Did you see him in the timeout? His arms around the boys. He's a good team guy by all accounts. Everyone talks about him. Good in the locker room. Good around other guys. He's a guy you want to be around and you want around your group. And then even retrieving pucks from dump-ins. It's what you say and what you're saying, RJWI, and it's what Blake Brim is bringing up here in the chat as well. Not forcing plays and making simple plays. Puck goes in his corner. Go back to get it. Quick check over the shoulder. It's either going back up the wall to a guy who's going to be there on the wall, open for a breakout pass to get out of the zone quickly and easily, no forcing things. It's going to be D to D, moving it across, or it's going to be taking a couple steps, getting to a position behind the net, and calming down. Ekman Larsson has done a lot of these same things as well. Like, not maybe not to the same extent as Tanev, but watching him, he has done a lot of these things as well. Very similar to a degree, I would say, like as what Tanev has done. And what I mean similar to a degree is it's the calm presence where it's not forcing things and just ripping shit out of the zone for the sake of it. How many times have we watched Leafs D-man in the past, Justin Hall go in the corner to get the puck and it's on his stick and fire it around the boards, around the glass to somebody else? Like, dude, calm down for 1 second, please. Like, pump the brakes. Let's ease through this one. Make a simple play. Like, it's so much easier to play the game when you have the puck on your stick and not trying to get it back all the time. Simple hockey. Don't force it. He's the leader on the back end. Vangelie, we're bringing up 100%. 100%. Very good. Very good performance from Tanev last night and tonight. I think OEL's kind of fitting into that category as well, and it's nice to see a guy like OEL be able to have that kind of impact here, just getting here. Kudos to him. Alex says, Zach, you still taking calls? Yes, but not tonight. Now, at this point, we've been at it for an hour. I got a couple things to go through to get wrapped up, and then and then we'll close this out. Saturday night, if you guys want to call in, let me figure this out tomorrow. We'll tweet something out tomorrow, probably during the pregame as well. I'll try to figure out, excuse me, an easy way for you guys to call into the show. If you want to call in and give your thoughts. Mike Fami, last thing. Zach, your thoughts on Benoit? Enjoyed him so far through the beginning. I think he probably deserves a better partner than what blanked on his name, sorry, Timmins is able to provide him. I think he deserves a little bit better than that, but I think he's looked good. The only thing I would say to him, turn the dial down on the aggression. Not because I don't want it, but because he's just going to get a lot of penalties here through the early going. The refs are like, anything that is even the slightest bit potentially a penalty, you're going to the box. That's the only thing I would say to him here early on is, and it's not while the game is going on either, by the way. It's the stuff between the whistle. Like, just be careful on some of that stuff. That's your game. I want you to do that. Don't take it away, but you're playing a lot more minutes. You're under the microscope, and the refs are just being real quick to just kick you to the box for blowing on a guy or being too close to him. So, God, that's a concern. Another super chat here, and we'll get to our bet wrap up. Dan Freeman with another super chat. Dan, thank you. Dan says, I didn't know enough about Tanev because other markets I didn't follow. That dude does everything right. He does it selflessly. He is our best D-man, 100%. The other thing I would say about Tanev, we're just scratching the surface of like how impactful he is. Wait for some of those big games when things are going. Like, I watched a lot of Dallas last year in the playoffs. I watched a lot of Tanev when he was in Vancouver as much as I could, when he was in Calgary. I tried to watch those games. Try to watch as much hockey as possible. You'll notice, like, in some of those games, things are going to be chaos. Like, there's going to be a flurry of stuff going on, and Tanev is just not going to get wrapped into it. Like, he does not allow his game really to kind of get dragged into the muck. He's going to continue to just play like the solid Chris Tanev style of hockey, and I think it helps other people to just chill down a little bit and just kind of play like a little bit more relaxed game. Really like Tanev. Okay, let's get to our bet recap, obviously, and then we'll get to our play of the game and grade of the game as we wrap this one up here tonight. But for those of you wondering, as we go to this, the best bet from the pregame is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of the Leafs Nation pregame show and the Leafs Nation After Dark. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code TLN bonus. That's TLNBONUS when you sign up today. Let's check this out over here. Our best bet for tonight. Again, we're going to track all these in a sheet. I'll have them available for people throughout the course of the entire season. But as for our best bet from tonight, thing that's exciting about this is we're going to take some swings. We haven't gone too crazy with some of the stuff that I've given out here so far on the season, but I like taking these plus money ones in situations or spots where I feel like I might be able to find a narrative of the story that is not being fully accounted for within the game. There are what I mean by that is there are times where I'm going to see stuff and feel like something may play out a certain way and it's just not being projected in the odds. Something is going to happen, or I feel like something is likely to happen, and the odds are not accurately representing that. So what we've got for our best bets over at Bet365 through the first couple of games here of the season. Last night, we gave out Max Domi to record an assist over 0.5 assists. That was a half unit, $50. there to win 105. We lost that one. Nobody on the Leafs scores. Nobody on the Leafs gets an assist. So we lose $50 on the night. We were down 0.5 units. Tonight, we gave out Max Domi to record a point. Same concept, but I found the way to get the bet in another area where I could find odds that I felt like we could take advantage of as a group. That was plus 128 on that. Again, we went with the $50 risk, a half unit on that play to win 64. That one wins on the pass to John Tavares. Beautiful pass as well. We go up, we profit $64. So we are back in the positive there. We are up 0.14 units on the season. This will all be tracked, every single bet that we give out, every single game. We're going to bet responsibly. We're going to use proper bankroll management, proper unit sizing to gauge our way through the season. There will be times where we go through a full unit on a play to represent how our level of confidence, how we feel about these. But this tonight was our best bet, and that one hits courtesy of Bet365. And again, make sure you're checking out Bet365. I talk about it a lot. I work for a company that does a lot of sports betting. We always preach, make sure you shop around and find best prices. You always want to be finding the best price. Most of the time, when I'm looking to bet player props, which is primarily what I do, I'm going to Bet365 because they've got the best odds for these player props. Not only do they have the best odds, but they've got a unique range of markets, whether I'm trying to bet on first goal scorer, last goal scorer, multi-goal scorers, points, assists, shots, any of that kind of stuff. They've got it over there. It's a great place to be betting. It is a great layout, easy to find, easy to navigate. Make sure to head on over to Bet365 and again, use code TLN bonus when you are doing so. Let's get to our play of the game. Send your play of the game in the chat. I want to know what you guys have here as well because yours may differ from mine, but my play of the game tonight, I mean, I would love to give it to the fourth line guys because I think that they played really well, but I gave it to like a general overarching thing last night with Anthony Stolarz and just how he played as a whole. Tonight, I'm going to give it to the Tavares goal. Tavares took a lot of heat for how things played out last season. He's under the microscope because he gets the captaincy taken away from him. I don't think he played terribly last night, but he kind of just was a non-factor in the game. Domi felt like he was doing too much, maybe a little bit too fired up. Domi makes an incredible play coming across the blue line, able to protect the puck, get it to the outside, and at the same time recognize Tavares coming into the middle. He hits him a perfect pass, tape to tape. JT pulls that one backhand to forehand and rips top corner. That was a beautiful play. I want to give it to that because I just feel like the captain or the former captain, he deserves it. He deserves that recognition for that goal, for just how nice that was, how it unfolded. Just the fact that it feels like to this point, the pressure or how much scrutiny could potentially be on him for having lost the captaincy in the summer. It's not taking a toll on him or the way he's playing. We're just basically seeing regular John Tavares. I'm glad to see that from him, and that goal was pretty sick. Honorable mentions. Chat is bringing this one up a bunch here. The Hildeby save on Hughes. It was early in the game. There is a play backdoor, an opportunity for the Devils to bring that one. I think it was within one at that point in time, or within two at that point in time. Hildeby slides across, makes the incredible backdoor save on what was essentially a sure goal as he comes across, takes away the backside of the net. The kid was unbelievable all night. 22 saves on 24 shots, a 917 save percentage. Kudos to him, man. Nothing fazed him. He looked calm. He looked poised the entire time he was in the net here tonight. Good for Dennis Hildeby. Great NHL debut. Great NHL debut. That was a lot of fun to watch him do, actually. Just to be in there and play that way behind a group on the second night of a back-to-back too. Good for him. That deserves a mention. The Pacioretty goal I want to mention as well. I mean, God, I'm going to give it like honorable mentions to everything, but I think a lot of these deserve it. The Pacioretty goal And as Chats pointed out here as well, it was Robertson and the way he played on that shift. What led up to it? What gave them the opportunity in the offensive zone? Also, just props to Pacioretty. Opens the season scoring for the Leafs. Took to the second game of the year, but still, he did it. Gets on the board, opens things up for the Leafs. 1-0. On it right away. You know that's going to fire the boys up. Also, Lorentz. Just glad to see him get rewarded. Great fourth line goal. Getting in tight, getting in down below the goal line, playing heavy, playing hard on the opposition. It creates chances. It wears them out. Ultimately ends up with the puck in front of the net. There's pucks bouncing through. There's shots on net. There's rebounds. There's chaos. And it was the fourth line who was creating a lot of that, and Steven Lorentz is able to capitalize. He buries it on the backhand that he fires from the slot there quickly on net, and gets himself on the board with his first as a Toronto Maple Leaf in the regular season. You know he's going to be feeling really good about that one. His family probably is going to be feeling good, and that's a pretty cool moment for him. So shout out to that as well. One thing I want to point out too, on the play where Benoit got the tripping penalty behind the net, there was a late hit on Holmberg. Holmberg over by the wall. He gets hit after the whistle has gone. The play's dead. He's carrying the puck. The trip's already being called. Ref blows the whistle. Guy hits him. Not dirty. I'm not going to say that or anything. The guy just finishes a check on him. The first person to grab him, Max Pacioretty. Puts him in a headlock. Yanks the guy back. I just thought that was a cool moment from Pacioretty, just because he jumped in. He was the guy to do so. Good for him. I enjoy the way he's been playing. I think he's been an effective player here as well so far through the first couple of games. Okay, let's get to the grade of the game. Grade of the game for me tonight. Send yours in the chat here as well. I want to know what you guys have. Grade of the game is going to be a... I'm debating being higher. I feel like I could potentially put this on lower. I'm going to give my grade, and let's see if you guys can convince me to change it. I'm going to go with a B+. Hildeby, kid, first game. 22 saves on 24 shots. Looked very good. He's only going to want the one back. It kind of hit him. It was the one at the end of the second period. Some of the negatives to take away from this. Top six, cooked. Those guys do not look very good right now. Tavares had the good goal. The second line seemed to be a little bit more activated tonight, but not much other than that goal that I wanted to shout out. The top line really not there other than Matthew Nyes. Penalty kill looked good. Power play, shit. Just blatantly stunk again. No good on the power play. So there's a couple things that are negatives here. There are a couple things that are positives. I'm glad to see that top line, or not the top line, the fourth line, contributing. It's a good response game for sure, as 6 1/3 is pointing out, but just can't get too high on this one. It's a B+. There's a lot to be desired still left with this group. There's a lot of room for improvement, as Vangeli points out in the chat. So B+, I think, is fair. And you guys are kind of coming in on either side of me. I see A-, I see Bs. So I'm not really going to be feeling like I made the wrong decision with the B+ on the game tonight. I think that'll do it. Had Nick on here, got to break everything down. I think I went through all the good stuff, the bad stuff of the game tonight. Anything that I wanted to point out that happened in this one, any of the big moments, the bad moments, the great moments. Hildeby, incredible first game. You have good bounce back. Sheldon Keefe, the camera cuts to him on the bench. I wish him nothing but the best, obviously, but the camera cuts to him on the bench are just classic. It's like him puzzle face being like, how the hell did we end up in this position? He's probably looking over there being like, that goddamn group did not do anything for me in terms of playing up for me, and now all of a sudden they play against me and they're all fired up. What the hell's going on? I think he's a really good coach. I just don't think he was able to get out of this group what he needed to. Probably not the right coach for this group. Wish him nothing but the best there in New Jersey. regardless, good for this team to win this game tonight against him, especially after what occurred last night. Not even scoring a goal. That's going to do it. Leafs win this one 4-2. Game number 2 of the season. We move to 1-1 on the year. Goals for Max Pacioretty, Steven Lorentz, Bobby McMahon, John Tavares, Dennis Hildeby's a beast. And the first line is still ghost mode. Still have not heard from the first line. No shots from Matthews, 1 shot from Marner, 3 shots from Matthew Nyes, though. That kid's a weapon. Thank you all for tuning in. Right here tomorrow morning, Leafs Morning Take, the Leafs Nation 401, right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We want 15,000 subscribers by November. You got about 20 days to get there. 20 days, 15,000 subscribers by November. Thank you guys for supporting, liking, watching the show, participating in the show. We appreciate it all. Appreciate all the support. Make sure to be back here tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, for Nick and Rosie breaking this game down, reacting to everything that went on, and teeing up Saturday night's game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, the home opener. Also, the Leafs anthem singer stopping by the show tomorrow as well. Make sure to check that out. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast to listen to those guys. The Leafs Nation After Dark, wherever you find your podcast to listen to myself. Make sure to check it out. Subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Leafs win this one 4-2. Go to 1-1 on the season. As always, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.